So we are now on day 4.
Trupti is not there yet.
No,
Trupti
that's
is
coming.
not joined.
We'll start now because we can't keep it
Yeah.
7 o'clock. Because it's a long, I want to take a full
Yeah,
review.
yeah. Sure, sure. Yeah.
So now we are on day 4. So today, what we are going to do today is firstly I'm going to show you how to identify zones in your house, okay, and identify whether they are good for you or not so good for you. Okay, so that is a very important thing because that itself can be the cause of certain problems which you're facing. Okay, that you realize that. Secondly is we will take a full revision, okay, right from the start till this point. So those of you who have missed out, it will become like a revision for you also. And the third thing is we'll keep a question answer session open. So if you all have any questions ready, you have any questions, keep them ready so that we can tackle them fast. Okay. So now I'm sharing my screen. Yeah. Can you see the screen? Rishika, is this there? And can you hear me clearly? Okay, great. So now this is a technique which I use basically to designate zones in a house and to identify whether those zones are, rather we are in tandem with the good zones or not. What I mean by that is, if you look at this chart over here on top, okay, like I told you right in the beginning, we have 12 houses. Each house has been designated certain events, certain body parts, and certain relations, right? Now the configuration of the boxes is the same for everyone. What changes is the Rashi which is put in that. Okay, and Rashi has got directions if you remember what I told you earlier. So now what you need to do is, this being the base of it all, you need actually 4 things. You need this chart, okay, which is basically a common chart for everybody, which I've already shared with you. You need a proper drafted plan over here, and I'll explain to you what you need. You need this north, south, east, west, and the subcardinal zone circle, which can be done very easily. And you need that person's Rashi chart. Okay, these are the 4 things that you need. Now let us start intermittently. Beach may say we will start as to how to make this. Now this plan has to be to scale. Okay, even if it's a single line plan, it is okay, but it has to be to scale, because if it is not to scale, the zones will not come correctly. Okay, so if you're not capable of, let's say, using AutoCAD, or you're not used to using a T-square, set square, or whatever it is, you can use a graph paper. Okay, I'm sure all of you have used graph paper sometime or the other, and you can consider 1 unit as 1 foot or something like that, and then you measure the house and then you put it over there. That is very important. Without that, doing this will not give you the result. So if the plan is not to scale, that a 10 foot by 10 foot should look like a square, it should not look like a rectangle. So if your drawing is not to scale, this technique will not work. One very important thing. Now, once you have drafted this out, what you need to identify is basically the Brahmastra, the epicenter, the center of your house. So how you do that is, you basically box it in. Okay, in architectural terms, we call it FOB, face of building. So basically you box it in. Now fortunately this is a rectangle, so it's not very difficult, but even if it's an L-shaped thing, you box it in totally. And then you draw the diagonals across. Wherever it cuts in the middle, that epicenter is basically your Brahmastra. Okay, simple. Okay. Now you also need to identify what is the north. Okay, so here somewhere you'll have to say that, okay, this is north or whatever it is, that direction. Or draw a line from the epicenter in the direction of the north. Then you superimpose this circle, which basically has the 4 cardinal directions, which is north, south, east, west, and sub-cardinal directions, which is northwest, southwest, northeast, southeast. Okay, it's very simple to make. 1, 2, 3, 4, and cross. Okay, so you've got all those zones. And in the zones, you put the rashis. For example, if you see here that drawing which I've given you, the black and white thing, which looks like a clock, there you'll see north is 6th Rashi. Okay, so you can make this table yourself, or I would like you to experiment on that. Finally, I will give you the thing also, so don't worry about it. I have made it myself. So you try doing it yourself, because that's an interesting thing. Later on, I will share my copy with you also. So basically this zone, which is the north zone, has a sixth. You check over there, you will see it. North, northeast, you will see fourth Rashi. Okay. Like for example, south and first part of south, southeast, you will see that it is 10th Rashi. Then this one you superimpose on top of the plan. So this circle you can make it on a tracing paper and use it for all projects. Okay. So you just superimpose on that where the center of the circle needs to coincide exactly on top of the Brahmastra. And the north of the circle should coincide exactly with the north of the project or the plot. Okay. That is very important. Once this is in position, then only you will be able to do the analysis. So far, all of everyone okay? I'll just stop it for a minute. Have all of you understood this? Because this is the most important thing. If you don't do this correctly, everything goes for a toss. Okay. If anyone has anything, just unmute and talk. If you don't unmute, I would presume you know it. Okay. So I'm just repeating what the thing is. You have to get the plan drafted to scale and to proportion. Okay, basically to proportion. You can do a single line thing, that is fine. Do it on a graph paper if required. Then box it in, get the extremities and box it in. Then the four corners you join with a diagonal. Where it crosses the Brahmastra, mark that point. Mark the north direction wherever it is with a line. So if north is in this direction, you can put your mobile compass on that and identify it and then draw a line with a long ruler. Then this tracing paper पे what you have done this north, south, east, west, north and the sub-cardinal directions. You superimpose it on top where the center of that sits exactly on top of the Brahmastra. Okay. Then you are in a position to analyze because now your basic background data is all ready. Now you start analyzing. Okay. So how do you do that? That's what I'm going to show you. Now what you need to do is this person's chart. Okay. What you see these numbers over here, if you remember, I have told you several times, these are the Rashi numbers. Okay. You remember? The house numbers are never shown. So don't get confused with that. So this person's Lagna or the first house Rashi starts with 4. Cancer. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 all the way till 12 and then 3. So what does this mean? That his first house is ruled by Moon. Rashi Lord is Moon. The Rashi over there is Cancer. Okay. Second house is ruled by 5. That is what? Sun. Correct? So on and so forth. So when you identify this, actually by now you would have got the hint what I'm trying to tell you. Is that you would have identified that this zone is ruled by which Rashi and that Rashi is posited in which house of his. For example, let us say that first house is 4th Rashi. So this triangle that you see is denoting the 4th Rashi, which is seated in the first house, and the first house significations are this. Okay, it is very easy. Maybe for the first time you are hearing it, that's why it might be a little difficult to digest. Don't worry, it is very simple. You have to relate the significations of the house with the Rashi which is posited in that person's chart with the triangle of that number in the house. 3 things. Okay, I'm repeating again. Understand the significations of the house. Understand in his chart in that house which Rashi or the Rashi Lord is seated. Identify the zone which is identified by that Rashi. 3 things. I don't think it's very difficult. If you just think over it 2-3 times, you will understand it. Now, if you remember, I told you 6th house, 8th house, and 12th houses are the trick houses, which are the, so to say, bad houses, let us say. Why? Because 6th house relates to illnesses, litigations, debts, enemies, okay, all these problems. 8th house is the by default the obstacle house, okay. 12th house, again the house of losses, expenditure, isolation, XYZ. So if let us say, I'm just giving you an example, let's say this 9th Rashi is here, okay, and if this person is sleeping in this room or using this room for a long period of time through the day, what do you think are the what is the right word, effect showered on him? The signification of the sixth house. So sixth house relates to debt, DBT, debt, what do you call it? Debt, litigations, illness, problems, okay, all these things. So basically, he might just be sleeping in this room and he might be continuously ill, let us say, for some reason. And let's say his wife is also sleeping in the same room, but usko kuch nahi ho raha hai. Because for her, okay, her ninth Rashi is in the fifth house. So for her, it is actually the house of healing. Can you understand? This is a live chart. It is a real chart. It is not a dummy chart. It is a done chart. Okay. So this person, the husband, if let us say they are not sleeping in this room, but I'm just saying, suppose this is a master bedroom, let us say, which is falling in the ninth Rashi for the house. Correct? Now here, if you see the ninth Rashi for this, the husband is falling in the sixth house. But the ninth Rashi for the wife is falling in the fifth house. Sixth house is the house of illness. Fifth house is the 12 to it, which negates that thing. So that is the house of healing. So the wife might be very hale and hearty over here, and the husband might be continuously falling ill. Are you getting the point? So many times what happens is, forget Vastu, forget astrology. You might just be sleeping in an area which is not conducive to you as per your chart. So you cannot very blindly say that this zone is good for everyone. It cannot be good for everyone. Okay. So in your chart, the Rashi which is there in that zone, and that zone where it falls in your house, you need to see that. For example, just to give you an example, if you know, the second house denotes banking, money, correct? 11th house is the Ichha Purti house. Is the Ganesh, are facing problems? Are you able to see, hear and see? You're okay, Ganesh? Good, good. And by the way, I've been wanting to congratulate you. You got a wonderful granddaughter, I heard. Congratulations to you. Chalo, all the best. Very good. Okay. So basically, what was I saying? Now I lost track. When I said granddaughter, तो मेरा ध्यान उधर गया. So basically, the zone in your house, okay. If you are sort of inhabiting the house which is good for you, it will work wonders for you. So let us say you are sleeping in the zone which is the 11th house for you, which is your desire fulfillment, which is your Ichha Purti. All your desires will get fulfilled over there. But at the same time, if you are sleeping in the 8th zone, 8th house ka zone, the 8th Rashi, if it falls in the 8th house, let us say, whichever this thing it is, then you are continuously facing obstacles all the time. Okay. So what you need to do is, if you have a plan, okay, I think I will share that circle with you rather than you doing some R&D on that and getting to some other confused state. I will share it with you tonight. So you just take a printout on a tracing paper, and on your plan, take it on a little big thing like a A3 size, because it has to go beyond the thing, otherwise you will not understand. Take your plan on A4 and take the circle on a A3 and superimpose it like that. And then just identify that thing, and then just analyze for yourself. Am I facing obstacles in my life continuously? Am I sleeping in that zone? If you're sleeping in that zone, that is the problem. If that is not the zone, then there is some other astrological problem. That is a different point, which we have studied yesterday. Okay, so going back to this now, I'm repeating again the same thing again and again. So basically, after your plan is ready and the zone chart is put on top, your basic data is ready for analysis. Then you correlate the person's Rashi chart with the house, with the Rashi number. Okay, so basically you just relate the number over here with the number on the drawing. I'm making it even more simpler for you. Okay, astrology for dummies. I'm going to write a book on that. So basically this is basically, you identify the house, identify the number, that is the Rashi number, identify the zone, correlate it. Now this house has same significations for every damn person. Okay, let's look at this sixth, because it is easier to understand. first might be a little difficult to absorb. So let us say this. So this is the house, sixth house is the house of illness, debts, litigations, problems, everything. Barabar? So if this 9 number you identify over here, it basically for you or for this person, jiska chart hai, this is a sixth house for him. It is as simple as that. Okay. I don't think I need to spend more time on this. Basically, just identify the zones in your house and identify what problems you're facing and correlate. If it is happening over there, that is a problem. This is the simplest form of Vastu. You do not even need to know Vastu Shastra for this. It is as simple as that. And everyone's chart, the Rashis are differently placed in the different houses. Simple. Houses are the same, but the Rashis are different for everyone. So what might be very good for me might not be very good for somebody else. So I may be sitting in one place and prospering, and somebody else comes and sits over here, he is in problems. That is the difference. Okay? Are we clear on this? Now, second thing is I want to take a full revision of this. Anyone wants to say anything? Vijay, you want to say anything? You put your hand up. Achha, you said thumbs up. Okay. Anyone else has a problem here? Please speak up or just put a thumbs up.
Raghu here.
Raghu, yeah.
See, this one north by we taking the degree from a compass. That degree how to adjust in that way. This one.
How to adjust in the drawing?
Yeah.
See, basically.
How to plus one straight line. How to do that north degree. North degree somewhere 30 degree or 50 degree. You have to turn towards the north, isn't it?
Yeah. So the simplest thing is, okay, rather than calculating degree and using a protractor or anything, it's a very simple thing. If you take a printout of your plan, okay, and you put the mobile compass or the round normal magnetic compass, so that it is more or less the center of that pin is somewhere in that Brahmastar. And then you keep rotating that mobile phone till you get that north on that north line. And then you mark a point over there on the paper and then draw it. See, it might not be 100% accurate zone, but I would still say it is 90% accurate. That is good enough. Okay, because nothing is accurate. Rishik is 1 minute. Raghu, does that answer what you asked, or have you asked something different?
No, correct. What is there?
Rishikesh, you can ask what you want.
So is the circle standard for all?
Yeah. See that actually the circle is based on what? That chart which I gave you, I think it is on day 3. There are those black lines with those black dots like that and the white numbers 1, 2, 3, 4 written over there. Can you see that? I think it's on day 3 if I'm not mistaken. If you're Namrata, if you're turning the see Namrata is showing this one. Correct. This one. See this chart now where the color of the planets are there and this direction. This is the same thing. I have made it into a circle now. Okay, because here I am just giving you the directions. Here you need to know the zone. Because direction is finally one line. I cannot say north like this. North is a zone. So what is that zone is marked on that drawing. So I'll give that to you. You print it out on a tracing paper. It will be a permanent thing for you. Anyone else? Any other questions? Should I go on to the revision part of it? Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to go quickly through this. If at any point you have not understood anything initially also, just unmute yourself and call out and I will pause over there and again take it further. Okay. So what we saw is that, and what you must have realized by now on day 4, that everything revolves around 3 things. Houses, houses ke andar rashis, rashis ke andar place planets. Houses are boxes, boxes ke andar the atmosphere which is sprayed is a rashi. Rashi mein the planets, the things which are moving all the time are planets. 3 things: houses, rashis, planets. Okay. Houses basically signify events, body parts, relations. So basically they encompass every damn thing that a person could possibly do in his or her life. Okay. Rashis have got directions, which you have seen in that chart just now. And planets basically again signify relations, colors, items. As in each planet has been given some relation: father, mother, daughter, son, auntie, whatever. Okay. And colors, which you have got that chart which I have given. And then there are certain items which I will share with you. Okay. So this is as far as the basic things concerned. Then we learned how to read the basic chart, which is the North Indian chart. Okay. It always starts from this house, which is house number 1, which is also called the Lagna. Okay. It or the ascendant. It will start from this and it will go in an anti-clockwise direction in the form of a rotated cross or an X. The houses positions and the signification of the houses is same for everyone. First house for you is the same as first house for me. Fourth house for you is the same fourth house for me. Fourth house signifies for you your cars and your luxuries. Fourth house signifies my cars and my luxuries, but in my chart. Okay. Then most important thing we learned was the aspect counting. Okay, here if anybody has a problem, you tell me, I'm running through it, but if you still have a problem, we learned 2 ways of counting. One was the Vedic way, Drishti, and another was the degree way or the Western way. So this yellow thing or the purple thing or the green thing is basically the Vedic way, where whenever you count a Drishti, you count from that house and go further. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we say that first house is giving a 5th aspect to this house. This house is giving a 3rd aspect to this house. This house is giving a 4th aspect to this house. Okay. Later on, you would have realized that basically you're looking at planet to planet hit. But just now I'm just saying it easy so that you know how to count. When you say degree, we realize that each house is worth approximately 30 degrees. So 30 into 12 is 360 degrees. So when I want to count the same aspect from here to here in a Western way, I start from 0 because I have to traverse 30 degrees to come here. So I pass through 30 degrees and I come here. Again 30 degrees and come here. Again 30 degrees, come here. Again 30. So basically it gives a 30, 60, 90, 120 hit. Now if this, let's say this planet is hitting this planet, just because the planet is seated here and the planet is seated here, it will give 180 degrees, 120 degrees is not correct. Why? Because in this planet may be somewhere right at the start over here, and in this, that planet might be right at the end. So it will be 120 plus another maybe 10, 15, 20 degrees. The difference might be 130 degrees or something. So what I'm trying to say is blindly do not see that, okay, there is a thing here and there is a thing here, so it is hitting. Okay. So that is one thing. Second is, so basically this was the aspect counting which we did. Then we decided how to do the shortcut. Because if you have to count from here till the, let's say 10th house, or from here till this house, instead of counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, what we realized was the exact opposite house or the diametrically opposite house is the 7th house to that house. Correct? And 7th house we calculated 30, 60, 90, 120, 150, 180. It is a 180 degree aspect. So 7th drishti or 7th aspect is equal to 180 degrees. And if you have to count somewhere here, we can directly jump like a shortcut 7, 8, 9, 10. If you have to count from here 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. So this was the shortcut which we did. Now this was a very important table where we realized the Rashis, numbers, or rather the Rashis, and which planet rules those Rashis. Okay. So that we have 12 Rashis, right from Aries to all the way to Pisces. And we have got 9 planets. Okay. So basically, how these, we don't take Rahu Ketu, so basically we have to take 7 planets. So how these planets basically rule that, rule the Rashis. How the 7 planets rule the Rashis. So we realize other than Moon and Sun, each of the planets is designated to 2 houses, to 2 Rashis. So that the chart which you have to remember is 1 equal to Mars equal to 8, 2 equal to Venus equal to 7, 3 equal to Mercury equal to 6, so on and so forth. And here also we saw how they were receding rectangles which went, or brackets which went on in that sequence. Then we came to the main chart, which was the house significations. Okay, where we realize each house is displaying events, relations, and body parts. By the way, this body parts comes in what is called as medical astrology. Actually, what we did yesterday, those things, that is part of medical astrology, because you are doing something medical related, so to say. So basically here we understood that each house, what all does it signify? Each house has been given some quota. That fifth house, you're going to take care of these events. 10th house, you're going to take care of these events. So these are given here. And like I told you that day, these are just a handful of them. They are huge. They're like 250 to 300. There's no end to it. But these are the ones which we normally encounter. Okay. So this was day one. I think we ended over here. Day two, we had the 1 minute. I'll take a break and come to day two. Any problem in day one so far about the chart reading and all that? It is there in the video, so it's very simple. If you have a problem, you can ask me later. So on day two, we got these 7 or 8 rules bolo, regulations bolo, formulae bolo, whatever it is. The most important, which is used all the time, is this one, that the planet is the source. The result of the planet is given by the nakshatra lord. The quality of the result is given by the sublord. So this PL, NL, SL, planet, nakshatra lord, sublord. This has to be permanent. This is a part of KP astrology, Krishnamurti Paddhati astrology. Okay, it is not part of Vedic. So here, basically what the formula tells you, that the planet is the source of the event. The result of that planet or the effect of the planet, good or bad, whatever it is shown by its nakshatra lord. And the taste of that result, or whether it's going to be good, bad, ugly, whatever it is given by the sublord, which we saw is a ready-made table in the software. So nothing to break our heads on. Okay. Then we realized next one was that the 12th to any house, the preceding house, the pehle wala house, the house before it, kicks the house in front. So first house is negated by 12th house. Sixth house is negated by 5th house. So on and so forth. Okay. So this was the second rule that we saw. Then as far as aspects was concerned, in the Western aspects, we realized that 60 and 120 are positive hits, where 60 is a good hit, 120 is a better hit. 90 and 180 are bad hits. So 90 is a bad hit, 180 is a worse hit. Okay. Then we saw that in the Vedic Paddhati, every planet has a 7th aspect, that is a 180 degrees. So they are looking exactly in front. Each planet will have minimum of 7th drishti. Okay, 180 degrees. Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn have got additional drishtis or additional aspects. So Mars has got 4 and 8 in addition to 7. Jupiter has got 5 and 9, and Saturn has got 3 and 10. Okay, so these were the additional aspects which we had from the Vedic thing. Then we realized that the planet gets activated when it is in the maps. So when the planet comes in the Mahadasha, Antardasha, Pratyantardasha, Sukshma Dasha, it comes into that thing, it gets activated. Its nakshatra lord also, which gives the result, gets activated. Okay, so this we saw. Then we also saw the Vimshotri Dasha, how the Vimshotri Dasha moves. Okay, how those planets, 9 planets, have been distributed unequally across 120 years. Then we saw Rashi chart, Lagna chart, where you use it. Basically, just to summarize that, you use the Bhav Chalit chart, okay, which you don't use in this system, but when you use for promise of event to see which planet is seated in which house, that is a different concept. Let's not get into that. We use the Rashi chart to see the directions and get these aspects. So for aspects, we see the Rashi chart. Rashi chart, direction chart I've given you. So that is one thing which you can print and keep in front if you want. And this one point I think we forgot to say yesterday, but it's the simplest thing. Seated position of a planet is stronger than the house which it rules. In the sense, if let us say Jupiter is seated in the 5th house, okay, and it is ruling the 9th and the 12th Rashi, which are in whatever houses they come to, this house will have more potential. Those will have lesser potential. Then we saw this is the same explanation of that, where the planet, nakshatra lord, sublord are shown as a tree, fruit, and the taste of the fruit. This was the chart where you saw the planets, the Rashi lord or the sign lord, the nakshatra lord or the star lord, and the sublord. Here we saw the cusp. So the cusp or the bhav or the house, which Rashi is sprayed over there. Who's the lord of that guy? So that is here. who's the nakshatra lord, who's ruling, who's on this cusp, and who's the sub lord. Okay. Then we also saw that a planet has got a Rashi Lord, just now those four things, Rashi Lord, Nakshatra Lord, Sub Lord. And for the formula which we have to by heart, we need the planet, Nakshatra Lord, Sub, because the Rashis, planets keep moving, Rashis are constant. So basically the planet, Nakshatra Lord, Sub Lord, and it's written here, planet is the source, okay? Nakshatra Lord gives the result, and sublord gives the quality of the result. So that's why, in fact, I've selected these cases also like that. This fellow is the source. He doesn't know what the result is going to be. He's given it up. He's done his duty. This guy is looking very cool because he knows that, okay, the result I'm going to give. And this guy is a very beautiful fellow and he's saying, okay, I'm giving you the good or bad result. So that's how I had selected these. Okay. Then this was the thing which said that, every house preceding house or the 12th house hits the house in front or negates the house in front. Here we saw in a chart how the maps are shown, Maha, Antar, Prati, Sukshma. And if you see the Mahadasha, Antardasha, and to a great extent the Prati Antardasha doesn't change. This Sukshma Dasha keeps changing very often. And the dates what you will see here is from 2. That as in this 4 ka sequence will start over here, end over here. 24/8 it started, 4th, 9th it ended. 4th, 9th the next sequence started, ended here. So if you see the change over here is only the Sukshma Dasha, Sukshma Dasha, Sukshma Dasha. Here the Pratyanta Dasha is also changed. Here Pratyanta Dasha remains same, Sukshma changes, So basically that is how you need to see this. Then we understood the schematic version of a Vimshotri Dasha. How these 180 years, which are indirectly, disproportionately spread across these planets, 9 planets, how they're spaced out over here. Okay. Then we saw the Rashi chart and Bhavchalit chart and how the planets basically move over there. These were also examples to understand that Bhavchalit and Rashi chart, which I don't think you need to tax your head on too much at this point of time. Then this was the most important chart from your Astro Vastu point of view, because this shows the Rashis and the Rashi directions. Okay, please get it clear. These are the Rashi directions, not the house direction. Rashis and the Rashi direction. And these are the colors of the 9 planets. So each planet is signified by a color. Okay. Then this was basically in tandem with this part, your basic data analysis, that if a certain house is hit, let's say he's having a headache, so first house is hit. So in the first house, what all, if a house is hit, what are the 4 things that get affected? So one is obviously the house, second is the people who are seated inside, third is the owner of the house, and fifth is the ambience or the soul of the house. So basically house relates to the bhav or the cusp, residents are the planets, the caretaker or the owner is basically the Rashi Lord, and the soul is the Kaspal Sabha. Okay. Then we also saw those 10 components of the software which we require: Rashi chart, Bhavchalit chart, the degrees of the planets and the cusp, the planet significators which you don't require as of now, the dasha, temporary dasha, so to say, maybe up to a year, the cusp and the planet and their significations, all the lord, star lord, everything. And then these 3 charts, which are basically which planets are hitting which house, which planets are hitting which planet. Both of these are in your natal chart, which you're born with. And here, which transiting planet is hitting which transiting planet. So this is a planet to cusp, planet to planet natal, planet to planet transit. Okay. Then we saw these cases. I'm not going to go through all these cases now because I have numbered them properly. You can also see the video and you can again go through this couple of times and you will get the answer. Okay, these were the cases which we did. I have also written, yesterday we didn't take this, but I have actually typed out the entire sequence. Go through it. If you don't understand anything, you can please call me. Okay. So basically this was a complete run through of the entire thing that we did. Okay. You all can unmute and you can ask me any question, because this I have completed whatever I want to tell you. If there's anything that you want to discuss, any questions, you can ask me. And by the way, color, many people had asked me what I use for color. This, if you can see, it's a Camlin company ka box of 6 poster colors. You must have seen this at home. Even as when you were kids, you have used it, and now your kids and grandkids must be using this. So basically, this is a dabba which costs about 100 rupees. This has got 6 colors. There are 2 colors which you need to additionally buy, which is silver